welcome to Forbidden Planet TV, and on today's extra special episode we have Laini Taylor to talk about Guardians of the Dreamdark. Hello, how are you?
Hi, it's great. I'm great. It's wonderful to be here.
Oh my god, we were just saying how long it's been since you were last here. Oh my god.
Yeah.
What are you looking forward to being in the UK over the next few days?
What am I looking forward to? So many
the
things.
weather.
It's beautiful. You said it's not going to be beautiful,
Not
but it was
Saturday.
today. It's warm. It's beautiful. It's I just love being here. I just I'm actually going to have a couple of days after to hang out in London,
okay.
and I haven't had any time to plan anything, but I will. I have a couple of friends here, and so we'll go do some London-y things. It's been a really long time.
Yes, and we're going to come on to this, but there are lots of kind of like very English sounding words and like within Guardians, which is just great. It just really kind of, I don't know, gave me like almost like a weird nostalgia, like for some of the kind of, you know, the 60s 70s kind of like sound of music and those kind of very we'll get there, guys. Okay. So with Guardians of the Dreamdark, so this is quite an interesting story, and obviously for people out there who aren't familiar, it's new, but it's not new.
Yes. So a lot of people think that Daughter of Smoke and Bone was my first book, but actually it was just my first book that got marketing. You know how that goes. It was my fourth book, and my first book was a middle grade fairy fantasy that originally came out in 2007 and has a sequel called Silk Singer. And publishing hijinks ensued, and the series did not get completed, and also never came out in the UK. I think it came out in Germany, was maybe the only foreign edition. And so it took us a long time to get the rights back. Well, the second book went out of print, never even came out in paperback because the publisher had left, and all of this stuff. So we had those rights back, but we couldn't get the rights back to the first book for a long time. And so we finally did, and then we're able to find a new publisher find a publisher in the UK for the first time, which was very exciting, and in the US as well. So it would come back out there and, you know, find a chance to find new readers. So yeah, it's been 18 years.
Oh my god, it's so exciting to kind of have it. But I think I remember you said about doing Comic-Con back in 2018. I think I remember we found like 3 copies in a US like warehouse somewhere that we imported for your signing. We're just like, there's 3 copies. So I'm so glad it's readily available, and it's such a beautiful.
Yes, it's so gorgeous.
And originally it was going to be a bigger series as well. So is there kind of, I suppose, unfinished business after book 2?
There is. You know, I had originally conceived of 5 books, and I don't know if I'll get to continue it. You know, I think that's always sales dependent. But I think, you know, the best case scenario would be so you get to do 1 more book and wrap it up. But it sort of ends with everybody literally in midair in the sky. You know, everything is very unfinished, and I would love to have the chance to write the next piece.
Did you have to kind of rewrite any of this, or is it as it was?
I don't know if Beth even knows the story. Yeah. So it's interesting now because a few authors have gone back in the last few years and revisited, and like Samantha Shannon did with Bone Season. Well, it feels like a million years ago, but it was around 2018 when, you know, I had finished Muse of Nightmares and had a chance to get back to this, and that was we had the deal in the UK, and this was happening, and I thought I want to rewrite the beginning because it was my first book and it's for younger readers, and I just had a sense that, you know, I don't know, I'm a better writer now. I want to try to so I wrote a new opening, and it was like 5 chapters, and I love them, but I couldn't, they didn't fit onto the book. So I kept trying to like, okay, well I have to write a little more. So I have to like try to fit anyway. So I ended up rewriting the whole book. It was like a house of cards, like literally, like it just collapsed. You know, there was and nobody wanted that. And I think, nobody asked for that. I think they were probably just, I think it might have been a slight case of, British culture clash where
Okay.
maybe my editor was just too polite to say, "What the hell are you doing?"
Just over here pulling everything apart.
I mean, it was just really, I'm a very different writer now, and it just didn't fit. So it just didn't make sense to do any of that. Like, if I had a time machine, I would use it to go back and no. So I love those first chapters, and I love a lot of what I wrote, but it didn't, like, it was a different book. It had become a different book, and it just didn't really make sense anymore. So we made the decision to just not use it. So this is the original book.
Yeah.
The US edition did include the first 2 chapters of the rewrite at the end as bonus material, and it's really fun to see. I actually did a reading at an art museum last week at a book festival, and I decided to read those just because, and it was really, really fun. But it was, it was a very ill-advised exercise. Yes. Don't do it.
It's so with the because obviously Sam has started this I suppose rolling like ball of having to potentially, if you rewrite book 1, you're going to have to maybe amend things in book 2.
That's the thing. I mean, it just created such a domino effect in so many ways, and I don't know, the voices in my head, they were like, no, this is reasonable, do this. And then later I'd be like, that was not at all reasonable, self. And little changes that I made that ended up requiring, it was a very interesting thing to have done. But yeah, so it just didn't make sense. So yeah. The past, it's a historical document now preserved in time.
It is. And it's so interesting because I think a lot of authors, like I've said this to, like, would you go back and rewrite or resubmit like earlier works or whatever? And it feels a very like Marmite question that either people would or hell no. Like, it is kind of what it is. I mean, it's nice to have it, like you said, it's available now. It's in such a beautiful package and stuff, and I think it really, like, I just had such a good time reading it. I think it really stands up. So you didn't have to do.
Thank you. And I've recently been looking, copy editing the second book, and I love that book so much, and it's my only book that's gone out of print, and so I'm so thrilled that it's going to be back in print, and it's my second book, and so it was really a challenge to write, as many second books are. I remember, I mean, they all were, but when I was rereading it, I definitely didn't have any desire or urge to change it. There was no reasonable voice telling me to make changes to that one, so I'm really excited for that one to come out next year.
So exciting. So let's move on to your characters. So obviously our main character of Magpie Windwitch. So where did she come from for you? She feels as if she's been around for so long. Like, she feels so fully like fleshed out, and even for someone so small that she just does so much.
Thank you. I love asking authors what like the seed of a story was, or the origin story, but I feel like this has like the weirdest origin story ever, because this book started out as paper dolls.
Okay.
I am an artist as well, and at the time that I started writing this book, I was somewhere in the middle of a really long procrastination binge that had basically taken me to art school to avoid writing.
Okay.
After university, I was just having a hard time writing, and I hadn't rediscovered fantasy yet. That's one thing. I was, in my university, literary snobbed and had nothing to write that fit in that world and all of this stuff. And then anyway, I ended up going to art school and found my way back to children's books and to young adult and middle grade literature that way as an artist. And I, long story short, had started making these fully articulated jointed paper dolls. They were oil painted. It was, and I had this product idea actually, and I had licensing. I had a product line out at the time, as a gift line called Laini's Ladies, and they were these ornaments and cards and things that were out in like 4,000 stores, and that was how I was making my living at that time. And so that kind of was a natural outgrowth of that. And I had an idea for a younger fairy toy series, toys line, and and did these paper dolls and took them to a writing conference, and where there's a portfolio, art directors saw them, and I actually got some questions from I got contacted by an editor who asked if I had a story about them, and I did. I had the beginning of a story, and she wanted to see it, and so I wrote more. And over the course of developing those characters, of whom Magpie Windwitch was one, I also was going to seminars at these writers' conferences and hearing authors speak about, creating series and all of these things. And as I worked on it, it evolved into a more sophisticated, the kind of books that I loved when I was a kid, fantasy series, a more sophisticated middle grade fantasy adventure series. And so Magpie was the first main character that I ever wrote, or ever successfully wrote to the end. And so it was really a learning curve for sure, writing a main character that can sustain a narrative. And I have a lot of memories of specific realizations of how to flesh out somebody and how to give them traits that feel real and not make them too powerful or too perfect and all these things. And she was really my first one.
Because she's got obviously quite a burden on her shoulders, but somehow, like you said, she's not it's not as if you're starting with some some overpowered like hero or something.
But I think there was a point in the story where I was developing it where I was trying to figure out how do you put limits on magic and on power, and that's such an important part of building any magic system. And we all have our place where we learn that, I guess. And this was definitely my first experience with that. And I think as readers we get to recognize the places where maybe it feels labored, like okay, clearly the author is putting this obstacle here so that the character doesn't get too powerful too quickly or whatever. It's just one of those things we're always having to weigh, especially in a classic sort of chosen one narrative. How do we keep them from getting too powerful too fast?
Yes. And talking of the magic system, you obviously have this idea, and again, I see obviously this in your other books, the whole thing about kind of like memory and like tapestry and everything kind of like rotating around each other. Like, where did that kind of idea come from?
I'm not sure where the whole tapestry, my books always end up having these like really deep histories, like thousands of years of lore and very, very ancient, origins, and I'm always trying to like figure out in my head, like, how long is 25,000 years? And that's a really long time. Or in my current book that I've been writing I think I've been writing it for 2,000 years. Like, how long is, like trying to look at real world parallels with lore, like, okay, what do we know definitively from 2,000 years ago? Like, it feels like not that long, like when you hear 2,000, but it is. Like, it's really, I mean, as far as like what records we actually have and things like that. So anyway, that's kind of thing is really interesting to me, and also challenging to really conceptualize time in that way and recreate fantasy worlds. In this case, fairies live a long time, so their lore is extra super long, because if they live 1,000 years, then 2,000 years definitely isn't. Yes. So this is 25,000 years ago and this stuff happened. And anyway, and trying to piece that into it's in our world, but it's from a fairies perspective, and so there are humans in it, but they're not actually characters that they interact with. We see them bumbling around in the background, and that was fun to do, causing mayhem in their human way. But we're seeing the world from the eyes of a completely different, species, magical world. So it's fun to create without any of the human names for places and
yes. No, I suppose, you have, like, coming back to, like, the language thing mentioned at the start, like, obviously the mammies and stuff. Yes. Like, how much fun was it to kind of come up with I need a word.
Yes. There's a lot of fairy cursing in this book, and it was so fun coming up with curse words that, 12-year-olds could, like, unashamedly say, and there's so and Magpie hangs out with crows. She has these 7 crow brothers that travel together and hunt devils together, and they're uncouth in the eyes of the fairies, and they curse a lot, but the curses are like jack smoke. And I was always coming up with, it just got to be really natural and fun writing in that voice, and that was something that was fun to go back to when I wrote the new version or when I play around with it. And they're definitely, so my secret, my confession is that when I read all of my work aloud to myself when nobody else is around, it might come out in an English accent.
Oh.
But that immediately stops when anyone is in earshot. But this is Scottish.
Okay, yes, because there's I instead.
And in fact, the new chapters that I wrote, very much more so. And I think that actually, when you do that as an author, it really does change the cadence of the language. Not just the way it sounds right aloud, but the way words are. Not just even the dialect, but it. Anyway, it's an interesting exercise. But when I read it aloud the other day in my very American accent, it sounds wrong to me. Like it should be. And the audio narrator is Scottish, and it sounds amazing.
Okay.
In fact, the original audio narrator was Davina Porter, who was the Outlander narrator. So I got really spoiled with audiobooks from the very beginning, and I love narrators; they're amazing. And so it's really fun for me to get to hear an actual Scottish accent bring this dialogue to life.
There is something as well. I just think about any kind of like fae fantasy books, they just lend themselves to like Scotland or Ireland or just something with that kind of lyrical.
Yeah, it's definitely an easy shortcut, I guess. Fantasy.
There's a lot going on at there. So another thing again that kind of joins a lot of your books together seems to be a fascination with like monsters and different kind of things going on in the shadows, as it were. So yeah, how do you start writing your kind of big bad, for example?
Yeah, it's funny also talking about this book because it was so long ago that I wrote it. But, I luckily I do keep these the project notebooks, and that I kind of keep all of my research and thoughts, and so I can look back and sort of see where the breakthroughs were, where I figured something out. They're not, it's not everything, but it's like the stuff kind of like I don't know, it's kind of keeps the spirit of the project together. I do a lot of brainstorming on the computer or in other notebooks too, but when there's things that I really want to kind of make canon, like I'll put them in and it's very unorganized. It's not like a Bible that you'd be able to search and find anything, but for me I love having them. And so I don't remember exactly how the Blackbringer developed. I think, in fact, the name Blackbringer was like a misheard song lyric that my husband came up with. It was, I can't remember what the actual word was, but that was where it was, it was definitely, it was a case of a misheard song lyric from something. I think he probably remembers. I'll have to find out what it was. And, I'm a plotter, a reluctant plotter. I don't know. I'm a reluctant pantser. I guess I don't know how you would say it. My brain is an intuitive writer brain, but my anxiety is a plotter anxiety. So it doesn't come naturally to me to like figure out a whole book up front, like all the plot beats and everything. But I really want to know where I'm going. So I do a lot of brainstorming and plotting, but generally I find that the middle parts, like the things that actually fill up the book, like have to happen naturally one thing to another. So I try to figure out as much as I can as I go. But there was a lot of just figuring out how to write a book in this book. There was a lot of versions and a lot of like going off in this direction, and I definitely have never ever successfully like written an outline and in any kind of detail that I stuck to. I keep trying, and I keep writing them, and someday maybe I'll be more efficient. But so far, that is not an answer to your question, but but I don't totally remember, but I do know that there was a lot of just folklore in a sort of Magpie sense of having things that I had read and just the little pieces of this and that I love, and things that I probably wouldn't do now in the sense of using gin, that I would not appropriate that term now if I were starting this book. So it was a different world 18 years ago. Like I was less aware of, not taking pieces of lore that is not mine, so there's a little bit of that. But I've always loved the idea that in all of my fantasy worlds, the idea that there is something that humans have gotten a glimpse of and have seen just enough to kind of create their own stories, but gotten it wrong. Like, you know, that they're so that's sort of the fundamental in Daughter of Smoke and Bone as well, like that, you know, they've seen these things and then created angel lore and, you know, with all of our human assumptions and whatnot, and kind of in this too.
Because that was something I obviously really enjoyed, was just that idea that humans were never kind of meant to be. Like, you know, we had this world all figured out and, you know, everything was kind of moving along fine, and then, oh, where did these guys come from?
Yeah, it's funny, because the adult book that I'm writing right now as well, like there's sort of humans' place in the world is an issue in a different way in that book, but it's definitely a, you know, something I obviously think about a lot. It definitely comes up in my work, is that just what terrible citizens of this planet we are, you know? And if we are looking at actually divine creation, in this very specifically, you know, how things got to be how they are, and how you know, magical creatures came to be and who the creators are, and humans were not in that plan, and that is definitely my feeling on just how we don't fit ourselves into the tapestry, I guess, you know. We feel ourselves to be above it and masters of it versus part of it.
So a couple more questions. I'm very aware that we're obviously we have somewhat of a time limit, guys, because we have an event at the store after this. So coming back to the characters, the naming kind of, I just love the names of the characters. It's just like, oh, could I call my kid Batch or whatever? You know, like,
oh, I'm telling you, Batch. Batch is a family word, you know, one of those, and it's actually my family's word for any nameless, disgusting substance.
I love that'd be the name for like a
yeah, like if you've got child. You know, like you take out the trash or whatever, and then you've got like Batch on your fingers, or like you step in something, you've got Batch on your shoes. I don't know who came up with it, if it was like, it's from my mom's side of the family, and it's just so he's kind of for her, like my mom loves that character. He's a scavenger imp, he's really gross, and he's so fun to write.
Yes,
he's just completely entirely self-centered, and very valuable skill set, so he was so much fun to write. But yeah, that name,
such good names. And even like just thinking of the crows in general, there's something about almost like walking into, you know, we walk into like an old pub or something that's full of like men of a certain age, all the men in there are over 70s, they've all got their pints going and stuff. It feels like that. It feels like the conversations, the kind of funny things you overhear. Like,
thank you. I love it. This is, again, writing dialogue is something that I distinctly remember, like, struggling, you know, like learning how to do in this book, and you know, just at a certain point just trying to write dialogue, but struggling because I was just trying to write dialogue. I wasn't actually trying to convey something in dialogue, you know, and like and then learning how to, Seven Crows, that's a lot of distinct voices to try to create, and you can't, you know, anyway, there were so many things that I tried to learn, that this was like my training ground as a writer. But I love the crows so much, and actually I feed the crows at my house for a couple of years now, and it started out because we noticed that there was a crow with one leg, and we have a crow with one leg in the book named Bertram, and I love him. The crow in my yard did not also have spectacles on, like Bertram, but so we just felt for Bertram. He's hopping along on his one leg, so we started feeding him, and then he didn't come back this year. I feel Bertram probably is no longer, maybe he's living somewhere, some other neighborhood, I don't know, but yeah, I love that. I love seeing them around, and their personalities are so fun.
Yeah, so good. There is something about, and my dad was a twitcher, so when we were growing up, my dad used to go bird watching and stuff, and he'd always, like, if he heard different bird calls, he'd be able to say, oh, that's you know.
That's awesome.
I just always found it fascinating that there's these other worlds going on that, you know, sometimes you get a glimpse of, or you can watch an episode of like David Attenborough or something.
Yeah, I get so excited just seeing like the blue jays and crows in my yard. Like, you know, my sister's a wildlife biologist, actually. She studies snakes, rattlesnakes, in fact, and she's a professor and stuff, and she travels a lot, and she went to Komodo last year and saw Komodo dragons, and so I haven't seen anything like that exotic, but even just the wildlife in your yard is so incredible.
Yes, yeah, especially this time of year, like there is, you know, for moaning about the weather earlier, there is something about the winter in the UK, and you know, you get like robins and squirrels and stuff.
Yes,
It's
yes,
very, like,
yeah.
something quite
They can't
idyllic
fend for
about
themselves
it.
as easily anymore. So you see them really preparing for winter.
Oh
and-
yeah. So coming towards the end of the interview, so you've obviously spoken a little bit about what you're working on next. Any other like hints and tips about anything else you've got in?
I've been working on my current novel for far too long.
It feels like it's fabled. Like it's.
I made the mistake of calculating how old it would be if it was a human.
Oh.
Don't ever do that. I figured it would be like probably entering into second grade at this point.
Okay.
Which could be worse. It certainly could be worse. But yeah, I think it's a standalone. I think that's part of the issue is that I didn't really reckon with the fact that I had never written a standalone. Like I've tried before, and actually ended up. This was supposed to be a standalone, and then it ended up going. You know, it got too big. So that has happened with this book too. But instead of being able to stretch, I just keep on having to try to reconceive it to be a standalone. So it's almost it's been in various versions, and I'm closing in on the current and final version now. So
exciting. Okay. Do you have a title in mind? You don't have to share it, but do you have it all like that? Yeah. Okay. And for our last question, so what are you currently reading, watching, and if you game, what are you playing?
Okay, let's see. So I just reread the Empyrean series, Fourth Wing, because I interviewed Rebecca Yarros at our Portland Book Festival last week. So I was, refreshing on the. I hadn't finished the series, but I was refreshing on the series. And so just those. And I just started a book on the plane that isn't really fantasy, but it's called Come Again by Robert Webb.
Oh, okay, the comedian.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
And it does have a spec fic angle, but it's so good.
Okay.
So that's sort of unexpected. What have I? Oh, I should have prepared for this. The books go right out of my head. I just read a fabulous book, a debut book by a Washington author, and it's called An Amateur Witch's Guide to Murder.
Oh,
and it is so fun. It's set in Seattle, and it's the whole seed. And I said I like the seeds of ideas. The seed of this book was that the author went into like a FedEx Kinko's copy shop, and the manoger was full goth. But like wearing his like little FedEx polo shirt, but like with his white makeup and black goth, full goth. And so she was like, he does witchcraft out the back door, like he's and that was the premise for the book. Anyway, it's so funny.
It sounds
and
incredible.
So good. And I just read that and I absolutely loved it. And then I just also read Curious Kind of Magic by Mara Rutherford, which is a cozy fantasy and very, very fun and sweet, and also very funny.
Oh, it's the time of year, I think, for some cozy.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. Anything you're watching in particular? Anything you're looking forward to?
Let's see. Always. I know my daughter is really excited about a lot of things right now, like Stranger Things and Wicked.
Yes.
And those are, I'm like, about both of those. But like, yay.
Yeah,
I don't know if there's anything I'm really into right now. We're rewatching Buffy with my 16-year-old.
Okay.
Yes. So she got super into it because she fell in love with Angel, but we just finished season 2.
Oh, okay.
So she's not so in love with it right now. So yeah, that has been really fun. It really holds up.
Yeah, I think it does. I think
it's funny watching the beginning. It's like really like it grows into itself for sure. But
I think with that and with certain series, what am I thinking of? The Charmed.
I never watched Charmed.
Has something about it that it's just like it still feels like
I think a lot of those shows happened when I was at university and was like not watching TV at all because I just
an academic.
And then Buffy started then too, but then I guess I got into it after. And try to explain to a 16-year-old that we couldn't stream them.
No, we had to wait a week to like bring
or we had to rent the disc of the season in order or whatever. But Buffy and X-Files were like where I first started watching. That was when I met my husband, because he had like programmed his VCR and had them all. he was that organized guy. But I am excited about the Buffy reboot.
Yes.
Yeah, I have like a new appreciation of like how amazing Sarah Michelle Gellar was. Like, I don't think I really appreciated at the time like how good she is, and Giles.
Just the whole ensemble cast was.
There's so much to come. Like thinking of like how much story there is, yet to come. It's pretty crazy. So they'll be watching that without me while I'm gone. That's okay.
Yes.
They can catch me up.
We can catch up. And I think there was a audio series they did of Buffy, which I still haven't listened to.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know about that. I know there's book spin-offs, at least in the Buffyverse.
Yes.
And then Angel, of course, I think comes in after season 3, maybe.
Yes, yeah. There's a ton of many moons ago we had David Boreanaz in for a signing many moons ago.
What was he like?
Lovely dude.
That's good to know.
Yeah. So yeah.
I wasn't sure. We're never sure like what will hold up for the teen. To rewatch things. What will be like, what does not hold up, and what will. But Buffy definitely has been really fun.
Yes. Yeah, it's so fun to be able to rediscover those things. But yeah, great stuff. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, and for anyone tuning in at home, you'll be able to get your hands on signed copies of both the new book and backlist if you check out our website, or you can go to any of our 10 branches across the UK and grab yourself a signed copy. But we shall see you next time. Bye.
If you're enjoying watching Forbidden Planet TV and you're enjoying watching us talk to the world's most interesting and accomplished filmmakers, authors, artists, musicians, creators, subscribe right here. See you soon.